stronger. And in 1918, the Spanish flu also strikes in Europe, killing thousands of people. So, yeah, the streets of London are basically crippled by violence, disease, and fear, obviously. So this is a ghostly city.
Oh, I should mention as well, the game releases June 5th on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Should have said that at the start.
So we are here in Whitechapel, the poorest district of London, and we are on the trail of Nurse Dorothy Crane, who is blackmailing a vampire friend of yours, Lady Ashbury, the benefactor of the hospital where you currently work at. So the nurse suspects Lady Ashbury of criminal activity, since she saw her visiting dying patients at night, and all the patients were dead by the morning, mysteriously. So the nurse demands a large sum of money to keep her mouth shut. And of course, no one in the hospital knows that you and Lady Ashbury are undercover vampires. So that's why your friend urges you to deal with the blackmailer as soon as possible. So we are here in Whitechapel. Your investigations leads you to this house because it seems that the nurse runs a rogue dispensary.
What do you want? Leave me alone.
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. I'm looking for Nurse Dorothy Crane.
There is no Dorothy Crane here. Now goodbye.
I'm afraid this medical leaflet says the opposite, sir.
Really? Well, I'm afraid I'm going to close this door right now. Go bother someone else, Mr. Doctor.
Well, it looks like Darius is blocking the access to the dispensary, really so hopefully, thanks to his super senses, our vampire is able to spy on citizens, and he can, for example, eavesdrop on conversations from a distance. To that journalist, Darius never goes out, but he did it a few days ago to post a letter we should try to retrieve later. But let's try to find the poet, who should be also somewhere nearby the church.
Just for context, this is about 6 hours into the game, so you know we've got a few vampire abilities now, not as strong as could potentially be.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess we'll see in this combat.
Yeah, and Skull is hiding here behind the church, and Skulls are lesser species of vampires, hiding in fountain areas, in dark corners, or underground. And because of the Spanish flu, they have suffered heavy mutations and have recently become very aggressive. So this is part of your investigation to understand how they became such creatures and ultimately find a cure. So about the combat system, it relies on timing, positioning, management of resources. For example, you have the stamina bar that regulates your melee moves and dodges, and the block bar that controls the use of your supernatural abilities. You can also use your secondary weapons, such as the shotgun, this is one of your supernatural ability, the claw.
Just for anyone that's only just tuned into the stream, this is a developer stream for narrative-driven action RPG Vampire. We will be taking questions from the chat, but just after a certain point in the quest, just because we've got a lot of information we want to share, and then we'll start answering your questions after that.
Ability, which is a very fast gap closer, very effective. And here's the Guard of Pruan. This is a secret faction chasing vampires down for centuries to protect civilians. But hopefully they won't recognize you as a vampire at first sight. So this is your chance to get out of here or engage the fight situation by surprise.
We're going straight in.
Yeah. So here, as you can see, you can also stun your opponent to make him vulnerable for a few seconds, and this is your chance to embrace him. This is our vampire signature move that regenerates both blood and health, or gives strong damage depending on how you want to make it.
What was that crazy move that just happened?
Just did a little bit of the rage.
Rage.
Yeah. So you basically teleport from one target to another.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. It's a very powerful one. And I think it's very important to understand that you somehow set the game difficulty by yourself when you play Vampire, because
Yes.
the more citizen you sacrifice, the easier will be the game. And yeah, this is pretty unique in RPG games.
Yeah, because you'll have these big challenges ahead, and you'll always have that temptation to maybe feed on that very nice blood quality citizen that you also happen
Or
to
you
like
can
as a
just
person.
decide to rely on your skills,
Yeah.
but you have to be very confident in
course.
yourself.
Yeah. You really want players to sort of feel that kind of dilemma.
Yeah. Oh, oops.
Oh, they're ambushed.
Okay. It's an opportunity to use the Shadow Veil we've just unlocked
Good
before.
job. We picked that up.
So as you can see, this is a good way to avoid combat situations, and in our game you can decide to avoid about what happened to the city since the disease has spread,
Yeah.
and different kinds of secrets from the citizens, of course.
Why Big B asks if any form of conflict can be avoided during the adventure. So is it possible to not do any fights?
You can avoid most of the combat if you want to, except for this one. It's,
Good time.
yeah, it's like a mini boss situation. So we have boss fights and also this kind of challenging situation. So yeah, let's say you can avoid 90% of the combat if you prefer. You can specialize in this stealth ability we have shown earlier, the Shadow Veil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Switching up some abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these kind of boss fights are a lot more difficult than regular fights.
Yeah.
These are the real test for the
Yeah.
player. These are the ones where you're really going to start questioning, should I start killing?
Yeah.
Or should I start trying to upgrade all my weapons?
Yeah. Or can I rely on my skill and can I overcome the situation with my own skill?
Yeah.
Which is always possible.
Okay, another question that's pretty linked to what's happening right now. So G. Braga finds the concept of having to make difficult choices to level up interesting. But will Vampire push players to make these difficult decisions with a good level of challenge? Is the game difficult, I guess? And how is the game's difficulty sort of tied in with the feeding system?
Because as you have seen before, when you exchange your XP into abilities, this is your way to level up, and maybe you have noticed that the enemies have a level. So if there is a big gap between your level and the enemy's level, then it will be harder to overcome the situation because they will deal more damage and you will
in numbers. Vampire's combat system uses a mix of melee and ranged weapons supported by vampire abilities that allow you to be the vampire you want to be. The gameplay is based on timing, positioning, and management of different resources. The stamina bar regulates your melee moves and dodges, the blood bar controls the use of your supernatural abilities, and the health bar represents your health. There are many areas to explore, loot, and pick up information to learn about the world, its lore, and what happened to London since disease spread. At the beach, we're fighting people operating under the head of the vampire hunters' orders. The Pruin guards are investigating this beach, searching for Skulls.
Stay close, keep an eye on each other.
Skulls are a lesser species of vampires lurking in quarantine areas, underground or in dark corners. Due to the Spanish flu epidemic, they have suffered heavy mutations and have recently become very aggressive. It's part of your quest to understand how they became such creatures and ultimately find a cure to save them. In this world, the human vampire hunters and Skulls are having their own fight. As long as we don't get too close, we can...
moving!